Hi there, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Penny Shadikwetle, and I'm a transformation life coach. So, I've been talking about healing, and I in my previous video or the last video that I've done, I went through some of the modalities we can use to self-heal ourselves. I was mainly talking about healing our emotions and clearing our mind and letting go of issues that are keeping us in bondage, and as a result they manifest in a form of disease. So I wanted to chat in bringing this topic to finality on healing. I wanted to chat about grief, the emotion called grief, which is not necessarily a negative emotion. You know, it becomes negative when it overstays its welcome. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you, even in previous posts on my social media, I was talking about types of grief. You know, I was talking about normal grief, over exaggerated grief. So those kind of griefs that we are not really facing, and when they become they become too much, when they overstay their welcome, and that's when they become negative. But per se, grief is not negative, because there is a positive aspect to grief. Because if you look at us as a society, and I'm talking also post-COVID, there's a lot of issues that we're not facing. So a person can be grieving but not necessarily knowing that they're in grief. For example, how do I know if I'm grieving and not know that I'm in grief? It's when we sort of like take a long pause, and really go inside of us and check in on ourselves. Because most of us, we are not really intentional in our lives. We like on a red race. I mean, we're on a rushing to work, always doing something. It's hardly ever possible for us to just sit and listen to ourselves and check in with ourselves, to check, hey, where am I emotionally? How am I feeling right now? And that would be very empowering if we can learn to do that. But the purpose of grief, as I say, is like it's sort of like blow in or zoom in, or like taking a microscope and putting it on you, and really forcing us to face our griefs. Because it's oftentimes that to us business as usual, we carry on, you know, we face life, and it's like nothing ever happened. So when we have the opportunities, I say opportunities because we don't see things as an opportunities. We always think things are bad. Why me when things happen, and why now? You know, we don't ask really what is the purpose for this to happen. Let me just share something very personal that occurred in my life. This year, just in fact, towards the end of last year, 2022, it's like maybe from November, I just have series and series of things happening in my life, personal things happening in my life. It was like I'm putting off the fires. When I put off this fire, another one will just boom. So I got called from home, and was told that my mom is very sick, and I decided to go and fetch my mom. That was in December, I think, just before Christmas. A week before Christmas, I went home, I fetched my mom, and I came in with her. And I was taking care of my mom, who was sick, and it was such a terrifying process. It was so painful. It was so tiring, not knowing that this person that I'm taking care of, and also seeing someone who used to be so strong, so frail, all of a sudden, it seems like it was all of a sudden that I'm seeing my mom is very sick, and I couldn't handle it. I knew that my mom was sick, and she used to come and stay with me. For a while, I always knew that she was sick, but as to how sick she was, I never really realized until at those moments when I went to fetch her. And to cut a long story short, it was on the 1st of February, my mom just caved in to a heart issue. She passed away right in front of my eyes. It was like I was observing a movie unfolding in front of me. I was alone. The kids went to school, the husband went to work, and I was with my helper. And I was just watching this movie. It was early in the morning. It was in the morning, not early, like maybe 10ish, when I was observing that happening. It was so unbelievable in my mind. It was so unrealistic, and I went through a series of emotions in the moment and after that. And the stages of grief that they're talking about, I experienced them. I experienced denial. When this whole thing was happening, I could see that my mom is dying, but I was not willing to face it, and I was in denial. And eventually, when my mom passed away, it was like I was not sharing this experience with the people. I wasn't telling my closest friend that my mom passed away. It was like I was in that denial. And throughout arranging, I've never had to arrange for a funeral before. I've never in my life, prior to my mom passing away, and it was in February 2023, I've never had to look at a dead person. My mom was the first person to see, when I was looking at her, and I was like, oh, this is how a dead person looks like. And I went through, it was like that denial also helped me through the process of arranging for the burial and taking care of everything. And then after that, there was anger. Like, how can she just leave? I was going through that emotion of anger, and then it was the bargaining, and then it was the depression, almost depression. And then eventually, obviously, I had to accept the whole thing. So it's like grief, it's like a circle, it's like you are circling the grief. You go through all those cycles. Sometimes you go back to denial, and then you come back to depression, and then you go back to anger, and then you come back to acceptance, and then there is that meaning that eventually you need to find yourself in. So that's how you transform the grief, and that's the topic that I want to talk about, is transforming the grief. It is not a static situation. It is like a wheel, as a circle. You're circling the grief until you come to a place where I don't think you will ever forget or be okay, or the hurt will dissipate. But you get to a place where you totally have accepted the loss, and you can find meaning in it. Prior to having that experience of my mom passing away, like I say, I've never seen a corpse before. I've never had to handle funeral arrangements. So I do not miss the person I was. Obviously, I miss my mom. I wish she was here. And we also know that, knowing something and experimenting it or experiencing it is two different things. So I don't miss the person that I was before my mom passed away, because I have grown so much. Like, it was like I was catapulted to a different dimension prior to that and afterwards. I do miss my mom, but I don't miss that timid person who could never even look at the dead corpse, or that person who could not face situations like that, or sometimes I would just, like I say, we just run around and just go in the rabbit hole, or go with the normal, the way things are going, and we don't pause. So I don't miss that person, because now, after that experience, I am able to sit and really go within. I'm not afraid to go within and interrogate myself, interrogate how I'm feeling, and really, really take that pause. So I don't miss the person I was prior to that, but I do miss my mom. But there's also something about loss, whether it's a loss of a job, a loss of a person in your life, or whatever loss it is. It's never the end, or it is the end of that, because there's also a quote that says the end is the beginning. It might be the end of that chapter or the full stop in that chapter, but it certainly is not the end of your life or the end of your dreams. It also is something that is opening up, that it would not have opened up but for this event unfolding. How many of us are stuck in jobs that we don't want? We are not happy at the jobs, but the minute we resign or we are retrenched, we are able to find something, because we get so comfortable in the normal run of the mill that we forget about what really life is all about. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share about experiencing grief. I can tell you that grief is real, and if you are willing, it's for the brave. Certain emotions are not for the weak. That's why there's a quote, I can't remember who said it, that forgiveness is for the strong. The weak cannot forgive. Same as grief. It has such, it is like, it is so dense, and it's like it's in your body. You can really feel it in every fiber of your body. You feel the grief if you engage with it, and you allow yourself to let it teach you, to let you take you through what is it here for. You are able to transform it into light, like the alchemist, you can transform it. So it is a bodily emotion. It is felt in the body. And I heard somewhere someone says that it resides in the same place where love resides. Where does love resides? Love resides in the heart, but you can almost feel it in your body when you are really in tune with the feeling of love. When you are loving someone, you actually feel it in every fiber of your body. So the same thing is with grief. So it is that bodily emotion. And as I said, its job is here to open up something within us if we allow it and we engage with it. So how do you deal with grief? I mentioned some of the cycle of grief. I started with denial. Denial is where you don't even want to face what just happened. You are in denial. In denial, it's like, you can't believe it. It's not happening to me. Why is this happening? And then you move to bargaining. You start to bargain with God. Oh God, please heal my mom. If you heal my mom, I went through all those stages. If you heal my mom, I will do this and this. I will visit her every month. And because how we take things for granted, I was just thinking the other day on Mother's Day, there will be Mother's Day where I will even forget that I have a mother. But this Mother's Day without my mom really hit me. Is how we take things for granted. So now we start to bargain. Oh God, if you heal her, I will make sure that I visit her. I will make sure that I do this and this. We start to bargain. And then it comes to anger. You can see that this person is not being healed. Why, God? Why is this person not being healed? You also get angry at the person. You were so strong. And you also go back to denial. The denial that such a strong person with me, such a strong person. My mom used to be so strong. We used to clean the house together. She used to take care of the kids. She used to cook, she used to do so many things. That's how strong she was. And like seeing her frail, sometimes she would say, change my plate. I can't really handle this plate. It's too heavy. And I would be surprised. I would be like, what is going on? So it's those bargaining and starting to bargain and the denial, because you cycle through the whole thing. Then there comes depression. Okay. Now you have to face up to these things that is happening. Then there's anger, like you are very angry. Then depression, as I say, you have to face it, because here is a person lying in bed, can't do anything. for themselves, you have to now face the reality of the situation that you are facing. I mean, all your prayers, you've been praying, and sometimes you're also angry at God. God, why are you not healing her? Because I mean, I've prayed, I've declared this sickness is not unto death. I've quoted scriptures, God wants us to be healed, why is this person not being healed? Eventually, you let go. You let go, and that is a beautiful place of acceptance. I remember the night before my mom passed away, I was in that state of letting go. I was like, you know what, God, I commit her soul, her spirit into your hands. I prayed for her and I said, your will be done. Let your will be done. And honest to God, the following day, my mom passed away. So it's that acceptance, and after you have accepted, then you start to see meaning in the whole thing. So now that's how you transform the grief. How do you tools for now, the after? Because I mean, we know that after that there's life. This person is not here no more. You don't see the person, but we know that in eternity there is no loss. Energy doesn't disappear. Energy gets translated into a different form. I might not see her in the physical realm, and I'm looking forward to having communication with my mom from that wherever she is. So I'm not able to see her physically, but she hasn't disappeared. She's still there in a different form. So I need, knowing this and experiencing it are two different things, like I say. So now we know it's not the end. Death is not the end. It's just that I'm not able to see her now, but I can still communicate. I need to find ways to communicate with her some way, somehow. But I cannot find any ways of communicating with her while I'm still in pain. Because spirits don't like pain. They don't gel with pain. They don't gel with depression and gloominess. Spirits communicate with people that are happy, because that's how you're gonna communicate with the loved ones. So I need to, I'm still healing. It happened in February. It's still fresh. So I need to find ways to be okay and totally accept it, and find a way to really, really, really be okay with my mom passing, and so that I can be able to communicate with her. So the tools, after you've transform, or in the process of transforming your grief, what are the tools to transform your grief? And by the way, another thing why we need to face up to our things that we're going through, to the pain, to the grief, whatever thing that we need to face, you cannot heal what you do not feel. In order for us to heal something, we need to feel it. So that is just a by the by. So the tools to healing your grief is to find a compassionate witness, because the actual act of mourning is an external. When you are mourning, when you are crying, and you have to cry because we are born crying, so we have to cry. That is the natural state of us human beings. There has to be tears. It is messy. It has to happen, and that's the process of mourning. That is an external process, but the grief itself is internal. It's in the body, like I say. But if you don't express it, it's not gonna disappear. It's just going to go and be stuck in the body. That's why now it becomes a negative emotions. So when you want to heal it or transform it, you need to find a compassionate listener or a compassionate witness, not someone who is gonna come like you. All you have to do is just to talk. You have someone to just lean on someone, talk. And it's not often time that we want to talk, because we feel like, oh, we don't want to burden people. But a compassionate witness is someone who will just listen. You can just phone whatever time, you just talk. You just talk, and maybe you cry, and the person cries with you, but they don't tell you, they don't give you solution. Oh, do this and do that, meditate. Hey, God needed a flower. They don't come with the reasons why these things has happened. They are just there. They are a compassionate witness. They are here for you. They just listen to you. So when you are grieving, you need to find someone like that, a compassionate witness. Whether you're gonna make him God, you just come into your room, because at times I felt like I'm being a burden to people. I would come into my room, I will just leave everybody there and just cry it out and just talk however long I want to talk, because I'm talking to God. I'm telling him how this thing is hurting me. Please help me heal. And I'm also crying at the same time. That's how you need to find a compassionate witness. And that compassionate witness is somebody you trust, and somebody that you know that you can be bare, because it's such a very, very, very heavy emotion. So you need to be bare, you need to undress it. It's like bodily emotion, so you need to undress it so that it can be out there, so that it can be there in the open. But you can't do that with someone you don't trust. So it has to be someone you trust. And I say it's okay to cry, you need to cry. And this person that is a compassionate witness is helping you to move this grief. Because like I say, it's a cycle, it's rotating. It must move from denial to depression to anger to acceptance to depression again to anger to denial again to acceptance. That's how it's moving. It's moving. You do that through crying, and you're leaning on this person. And then the listener is not giving advice, as I say, they're just okay listening. And then at some point you're gonna accept it, and then okay, it comes to meaning. So now another thing that I've seen on how you move the grief is like you also there's someone who said that, I think it was David Castell, has an exercise where you write with your dominant hand. If you're left-handed, you write with your left hand. If you're right-handed, you write a letter to this person or to this thing that you've lost, whether it's a job or whatever. You just write how you feel. You write everything. You write everything. And then in your non-dominant, because I'm right-handed, in my non-dominant hand, I will write from as if this letter is coming from the person that has just left. And what can you write with your non-dominant hand? All you can write is thank you. You can only write thank you, and you will see that is enough. All we need is gratitude and thank you, and sort of like appreciating the moment that you shared with this person. I mean, spirits don't care about the guilt that you feel that I never visited my mom, I took so long to visit. Spirits don't care about those things. They can now see things from beyond what we can see. And thank you for letting me know. It's all that is needed. So once that is done, you've done. It can be a process. It's not going to be a one-time event. I can promise you that, based on what I'm going through. Sometimes I wake up with a heavy heart missing my mom. I know that I'm going to sit there and think about all the wonderful, even if I think about the bad things that we experience. And I can always say, even if I think about an incident that was not pleasing to me and that didn't reveal the real person that she is, I can say I'm grateful that you're not that person. I'm grateful for the sickness. I'm grateful that you are not sick anymore. Even if you remember how sick this person was, how much they suffered, because those things are triggers. You go to a hospital, because my mom died and in an ambulance. They tried to resuscitate her in an ambulance. Sometimes I see an ambulance and I get triggered. But I will say, I'm grateful that you are not sick anymore. I'm grateful that you don't feel the pain anymore. You can find something to say rather than being consumed about the pain, the regrets, the anger. You can just say, I'm grateful that it is not you anymore. I'm grateful that you are free now. I'm grateful that you have transformed into a beautiful, beautiful something that you were not. Because I said, they say energy doesn't disappear. And what are we? We are a bottle of energy confined in this body, in this temple. I mean, for the time being, The soul is confined by the body. So we know that wherever she is, she's a free spirit. She can interact with me if I'm willing, if I make that available for her to be. So even if you are triggered, just pause. Don't be consumed by what you are feeling at that moment, because at some point you're gonna have to transform the feelings that you're feeling so that you can be okay again. You're gonna have to transform this feeling. Even if you pause and you say, oh, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for the years that she was strong. I'm grateful for the time, for what she taught me. I've learned so much from my mom, not only about cooking, but about mannerism, about the woman that I am, about tenacity. She was strong. I was also thinking when she was in a hospital in pain, and I always wondered, why am I so strong? And I realized then that when my mom was in pain, oh, I'm my mother's daughter. I'm strong because she's strong. I'm strong because I've learned it from her. So even if you go through those things, you're able to bring yourself back together, like collect every piece of you and come back to the center and be in the now, because in the now, that's also where you experience love. God is love, and God is available now, and God is present in the now, and God knows what you're going through. He sympathizes with us. He's with us. He's probably sharing a tear with you when you're going through that, what you are going through, and you don't want to let go of. It's like we are entitled to the feelings that we're feeling. I've lost my mom, therefore I'm entitled to feel this way. If we don't want to let go of our heads, we don't want to let go of the pain, who's gonna let go for us? Let it go for us, because it has to be us. It all comes to us. This is what I'm feeling. What are you choosing? Things happen. We don't have control. In South Africa, we don't have control of load shedding. We don't have control of crime. We don't have control of so many things. But how we respond, how we choose to respond to it, it's a different story. Everything else that is happening, there's only cause and effect in consciousness, in eternity. There's only cause and there's the effect. Everything else that is happening, load shedding, whatever, is the effect. But the cause is our destiny. Why are you observing? If you are being triggered by load shedding, why is it triggering you? Because load shedding is happening to all South Africans at different times. But why, if you are getting triggered by load shedding, why is it triggering you? There is predisposition there that is triggering you so much so that you start being in effect. You see, it is not the cause, it is just an effect. So if we start to see things as that I am responsible, even though this is happening in my experience, I am responsible to channel it in a way that I am empowered, and it's going to be an empowering event after I've gone through this. Okay, that's all I have for you now. It's probably one of the longest video that I've made. So if you are going through grief, you can contact me. I will be a compassionate witness for you. I will help you move the grief. I will help you move the grief so that you can transform it into light or into love that it is. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time. Bye.